Are you tired because you try to prove yourself to people who never truly respect you? Have you ever felt that the judgments outside are draining your energy faster than the hardest work? Even the most hard-working and strong creature can fall not because of the weight on its back, but because of the poisoned arrows shot from other people's mouths. Why do we give control of our life to the crows on the side of the road? Do not let yourself fall into this cruel trap before it is too late. The secret is right in the scenes below. Watch to learn how to protect yourself. Before we start, let me know your name, which province or city you are in, and what time you are watching this video. Leave a small footprint in the comments so we can say hello to each other. The sunrise in the Green Valley appears like an ink painting, where white fog still gently hugs the hills. In the quiet of the early morning, when everything is still sleeping, the small bronze bell rings softly with each step. That is Arlo, a donkey with smooth gray fur and kind eyes clear like autumn lake water. Arlo is not like other animals that often feel sad because of heavy work. For him, every morning is the beginning of an honor. Arlo calmly lets the farmer tie an old but strong wooden cart to his back. The cart is full of baskets of ripe apples with a sweet smell and bags of golden grain, the result of a rich harvest. When the long journey to the village begins, Arlo does not hurry. He walks slowly, and his long ears sometimes move to shake off the early morning dew. He quietly hums a wordless melody in rhythm with the sound of leaves and the chirping birds on the branches. On the familiar small road, Arlo clearly feels the weight of the cart on his back, but it is a weight full of pride. He knows that in only a few hours, these apples will bring smiles to children and warm meals to families in the village. At this moment, the air is full of peace and freedom. Arlo does not see himself as a tired worker. He sees himself as a messenger of life. His persistence does not come from suffering, but from a deep understanding of the value of honest work. From Arlo comes a warm energy, a pure satisfaction that not everyone can have in this busy life. When the sun rises to the top of the sky, the valley no longer has the cool feeling of the early morning. The strong heat falls on the small road, and the air becomes hot and heavy. Arlo stops under a large old tree that gives rare shade near a small stream. He breathes deeply, his long ears hang down because he is tired, but his eyes still show determination. But the quiet moment is suddenly broken by loud and sharp laughter. On a dry, thin branch, a crow with black shiny feathers like coal looks down at Arlo with mocking eyes. It is not alone. Behind it, a few other crows wait like a curious crowd ready to join any kind of entertainment. The leader crow stretches its neck and speaks with a rough voice. Look at the hero of the valley walking in his own sweat. Arlo, you are really pitiful. Look at your messy long ears and your bent back under that heavy load. Do you think you are doing something great? In my eyes, you are only a slave of an ordinary life, a creature tied to old wooden wheels. Arlo raises his head and tries to keep his gentle smile. I carry a heavy load, but I have a purpose. These apples will feed the village. You have wings, but you only fly around to judge others instead of creating value. Arlo's answer does not stop the crow. Instead, it makes the crow even more cruel. It flies down to a lower branch and faces Arlo directly. Value. You call walking slower than an old turtle value. The world outside moves with powerful engines and noble horses walking with pride. And you are only an old leftover fooling yourself with useless hard work. Can you not see that others laugh at your slow and awkward walk? These words are like poisoned arrows that pass through the protection of Arlo's heart. For the first time in his life, he feels a strange, painful sting. He looks down at his muddy legs and asks himself, do I really look as miserable as it says? The laughter of the crows echoes across the valley. A peaceful noon becomes a psychological battlefield, where the belief of Arlo begins to show its first small cracks. In the following days, the peaceful rhythm on the village road completely disappeared and was replaced by deep tension in every muscle of Arlo. The black crow still followed him like a shadow sitting proudly on the stone fence, its narrow eyes watching every step. It spoke with its rough voice and attacked Arlo's pride. "Look, your heavy legs move like they carry stones dragging a meaningless life. How pathetic." Because of shame and hurt, Arlo began to push himself in an extreme way. He no longer walked with his natural rhythm. He forced his body, lifted his legs very high, and tried to make long steps to copy the proud walk of noble horses. He wanted to prove to the mocking crow that he was not slow. But this effort only made his walk look strange and awkward. The crow smiled with mockery and said, "Now you look even more foolish than before." The farmer, with the careful eyes of someone who spent his life beside Arlo, noticed the change. He did not hear the crow's insults. To him it was only an annoying bird sound in the field, but he saw the tired body and the lost eyes of the donkey. He stopped the cart and gently patted Arlo's stiff neck. He softly said, "Arlo, why are you so rushed today? The road is still long, and I do not need you to run like a noble horse. I love your quiet but steady steps, because only you can bring these apple baskets safely to the village. Do not try to become someone else, my little friend. You are already wonderful." But sadly, Arlo pushed away those sincere words. In his mind, only the mocking laughter of the crow continued to echo. He slightly moved his shoulder away from the farmer's kind hand, and his eyes looked only at the dark shadow flying above. He chose to believe the judgment of a cruel stranger instead of the trust of the person who cared for him the most. That night, Arlo could not sleep. In the darkness, the words "useless" and "outdated" haunted him like ghosts. He no longer cared about the joy of delivering food or the care of his owner. His mind became a battlefield where he was exhausted from fighting a criticism that was not real. By the 10th day, the valley seemed to lose all its moisture. The village road, which was already difficult, now felt even longer under the burning sun. Arlo now looked like an empty body, his eyes deep and tired from many sleepless nights, and his body weak from useless efforts to change. He could no longer smell the sweet apples or feel the presence of his owner beside him. His whole nervous system was tense, waiting for only one thing: the voice of the crow. And it came. The crow flew down so low that its dark wings almost touched Arlo's ears. It shouted with a sharp and proud voice, "Look, the slowest and most foolish donkey in this valley is about to fall. You were born to be a failure, and you will die in this ordinary life." Something exploded inside Arlo's heart. It was the breaking of his last self-respect. Anger rose like a forest fire and burned away all reason. Arlo cried out in pain, his rough voice echoing across the rocks. "I am not slow. I will show you." Even with the heavy cart full of goods behind him, Arlo suddenly began to run wildly. Dust rose everywhere and blocked the view. The wooden cart jumped violently on the rough road, and the loud sound of wood hitting the ground was like breaking bones. The farmer shouted in fear and pulled the reins with all his strength. "Arlo, stop. You will kill yourself." But Arlo was deaf to that love. He only heard his wild heartbeat in his chest, and the wind in his ears like voices of challenge. His legs trembled, and his breath was heavy and hot like fire, but he did not stop. He was not running to reach the destination. He was running to escape the label "useless" that his enemy put on him. Then a dry, cracking sound appeared. His body had reached its final limit. Arlo collapsed on the dusty road. The cart turned over and baskets of apples, the result of a whole harvest, scattered everywhere. In the final moment, when the light slowly faded, Arlo still tried to look up at the sky. He was still searching for the crow's eyes to see if he had been fast enough. His collapse was not only the death of a working body, but also the destruction of a soul that lost itself because of the words of others. As the dust slowly settled, the space fell into a frightening silence. Arlo lay there motionless on the dry ground. The bright red apples, his pride, were now crushed and scattered in the dust. The farmer fell to his knees. His trembling hands gently touched the head of his loyal friend, which was slowly turning cold. Old tears rolled down his wrinkled cheeks. He could not understand why a donkey that was always strong chose such a painful end. Above them, the crow calmly cleaned its feathers. It looked down at the destruction with an emotionless face, as if it had just watched a cheap show for entertainment. There was no regret and no apology. To the crow, Arlo was only a target to mock. When the victim no longer reacted, it spread its wings and flew away looking for a new victim to continue its cruel word game. Arlo's death was a tragedy of misunderstanding. He did not die because of the heavy load on his back. He did not die because the road was too long. He fell because he allowed gossip to become chains in his mind. He died because of the anger to prove his value to someone who never wanted to recognize him. In life, we always meet crows. They are cruel comments, unfair criticism, or fake pressure from social media. When you stop to argue with them or spend all your energy trying to prove they are wrong, you give them the key to control your life. Remember this: your value is defined by people who respect you and by the value you create, not by the view of people who only stand on the side and judge. Do not let the noise of others silence the peaceful melody inside your soul. Just be like a determined donkey walking steadily on your own path. Thank you for spending your valuable time listening to the story of the donkey Arlo. I hope the lesson about protecting your self-worth from judgment will give you more strength on your own journey. If this video brings you some value or connection, please do not forget to press like and subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the next meaningful stories. Your support is the biggest motivation for me to continue creating. I wish you a day that is strong and peaceful.